During the sessions of last week, we discussed how to write introduction of an essay, of a passage, how to begin your writing. The most important part is the introduction. And why is that? Do we remember why introduction is the most important part of a writing? Because if your introduction is not well written, your readers will most likely not get interested. They will just, after perhaps a few sentences, no more than perhaps a paragraph, the readers will just leave your essay, your writing alone, and never return to them unless forced, unless it's compulsory for them to do so. So in the introduction part of an essay, in the very beginning, you have a very important job, that is to persuade readers, to make your writing look and sound as important as possible. And how to make your introduction look, seem important, key, vital? How do we do that? Normally, it's by posing problems that are important, that can cause hurt, that can cause damage, that can cause costs to readers. If the problem is free to go, if the problem will go on their own course. More generally speaking, the opening part, the introduction part, you have to motivate. The word in red, motivate, is the key word. Okay? By stating a problem, you arouse interest in readers, and there are steps when you are posing problems in your introduction. You should take 3 steps. These 3 steps are indispensable. The first one is offering shared context, and the second step is posing the problem itself. And then in the end, you have to offer some solution, which is the main claim of your writing. In offering shared context, basically we are offering historical, common belief, or anything that can remind the readers of what they know, what they can experience, or what they readily accept. Okay? Sometimes it could be an event offering the shared context. Sometimes it's the common belief that offer the shared context. By offering such common sense, commonly accepted, commonly perceived information, you're pretending, you're acting as if you're on the side of the readers. But for experienced writers, the second step is most likely to do what? What do? They take a U-turn. They contradict the offered shared context. They surprise, they contradict the readers. Okay? Most importantly, they challenge the readers by offering interesting, important, different opinions, different ideas. And the second step of posing a problem is stating the problem per se. Normally, it should begin with such word as but, however, nevertheless, on the other hand. This is the sign of taking a U-turn. This is a sign of beginning the contradictory part of your statement. And for posing the problem part, there are also 2 parts. One is to state the condition or situation of that problem. Normally it's anything you can offer, whether it's the nature, the character, the color, the shape, all of which has the potential to cause trouble, to cause problem, to cause pain, to cause damage, to cause, most importantly, the second part, which is a cost or costs that readers normally do not want to pay. Condition and the costs are involved in the second part of posing the problem. And of course, there are 2 kinds of problems in here. One being practical, the other conceptual. For practical problems, they're easy to identify. Practical problems concerns conditions, situation in the real world. Such a practical phenomenon normally requires an action to be taken as a solution. Comparatively speaking, a conceptual problem concerns what we think, concerns the content of our thought. It's a mental phenomenon. It has existence only within the mental realm, our own conscious mind. And in turn, it only requires change of understanding as solution. And for problems, it has costs and demands different actions. And for conceptual problems, it also has condition. It's always something we do not understand. And the more expansive the costs tend to be, the better it seems. And then, it gives us pain, gives us suffering, gives us loss if we do not understand such a conceptual problem. And on the other hand, in comparison, if we understand them, it gives us satisfaction, intellectual, mental satisfaction, of course. That is without saying. The conceptual problems, the cost, sometimes we can replace the cost with more important problems, more important questions we do not know the answer of. But still, if we can deal with the problem on hand, that will imply the possibility of solving a larger problem, a more important problem. Perhaps we only get to know a comparatively small problem, such as what is the weight of the universe. By knowing the exact weight of the universe, then we can start to tackle larger, more profound problems such as time and space and the nature of matter and stuff in universe. Oh, then again, I'm not a theoretical physicist. This is only an analogy I can offer. Theoretically speaking, I'm not here to judge whether the physical part of my analogy is right or wrong. But then again, you can understand. And the last part, the third part, for posing the problem in the introduction is stating a solution. For practical problem, you have to have a solution. For example, we say, normally drinking is bad, but there is another phenomenon which is more serious, more important, more damaging than drinking per se, that is binging, okay? Then in the third step, you have to offer a solution, which also may be your main point of the whole writing. My solution is, although binging cannot be avoided, cannot be banned totally, but we can interfere at some level, especially on campus. We can offer instructions, physical health, mental health instructions to students, which perhaps reportedly have resulted in improvement of students' physical and mental health, which in turn lower down the level, the seriousness of the problem of binging. Okay? So this is my rough example, but you can see the point here. In the end, you have to offer a solution. Okay? I think we stopped here last time. The prelude. Prelude is something that goes in front of, before. The prelude part, well, you see, in the red box, the term prelude is borrowed from music. It's a musical term. Okay? Something goes in the very beginning. But in literary terms, when we are writing academic essays, we are writing informal languages, especially in humanities and social sciences, we can play this trick. not in social science, I mean in natural and social sciences, this prelude thing is rarer. In comparison, in the fields of and subjects and disciplines of humanities, it's more common. And it's most common in popular writings for the general readership, general public, such as bestsellers, non-fiction bestsellers, books on self-education, books about advices, books that teaches you useful knowledge, but not that deep and profound as subject disciplines can get. Popular science, popular historical writings, and so on and so forth. In these fields, prelude are more common. Okay? How do you write a prelude? First, you can come up with a prelude with a quotation. Quotation from, of course, well-known famous people, politicians, historians, philosophers, historical figures, so on and so forth. Okay, a quotation will do that trick. Second, you can state a startling, surprising fact, shocking fact. Binge drinking, for example, caused such an amount of injuries and death in the year so and so. And third, tell a story. The third trick is to tell a story. In here, it is called an illustrative anecdote, and I call it a story, an amazing, charming, surprising, interesting story. Okay. When Jim S., president of Omega Alpha, accepted a dare from his fraternity brothers to down a pint of whiskey in one long swallow, he didn't plan to become this year's eighth college fatality from alcohol poisoning. Within one sentence, a shocking story is offered, involving very bold, ignorant young student who very easily, very willingly threw away his life in a very foolish action. Then combine all these three things. Combining all these three things. Sorry, not three. If we add in the prelude, it's 4-part, right? Prelude, shared context, problem, solution. This is a general plan. This is the general layout of an introductory paragraph, with the prelude part being optional. Picture of this page. We have an introductory passage. We have a paragraph of introduction on hand, and you are ready to revise that paragraph. You have certain things to do. For example, determine the nature, the character of your problem, whether it's being practical or conceptual, okay? And draw a line after your introduction. Make it very clear. It's not for yourself, but rather for your readers. They should expect from now on the introduction is ended. Before the end of the introduction, there are certain things have been offered, such as shared context, problem, the condition of a problem, the consequences of the problem, and then the solution of a problem. These things are all included in the introduction. From now on, the upcoming part of the writing of the essay will deal with the things which have been mentioned, which have been offered in the very beginning. And the third thing you can do is to just divide the introduction into 3 parts. See if you can do this. If you cannot do this, then your introduction is more likely to be unfocused, especially if you do not offer your solution or your main claim, main point in the very end of the introduction. Okay, and the fourth thing you can do is to check the first words of the first sentence when posing a problem, the key word is this. But, however, when you are trying to overthrow the information offered in the shared content and you are ready to challenge your readers, don't forget to start that part, that very sentence, with the word but, or however, or on the other hand. Thing number 5 you can do is, for the problem part, there is cause and condition, and check if the condition is the right kind of condition for the problem, if you're addressing practical problem or addressing conceptual problems. Okay? Because these two different types of problems, they're of different nature. One is practical, of real, of tangible, related to the reality, to the external reality, to the outside world. And the other is conceptual problem. They have a totally different nature, which is essentially conceptual problems are internal. They concern information. They concern ideas. Consequently, they only require change of idea, change of information as a solution. Okay? For problems, practical problems, you have to, do these things, so what things, don't forget the so what part. The so what part is for the readers. The readers will always ask this question, so what? Or why does this concerns me? Why is this my care? Why should I care? Okay, these are similar questions. Okay, underline your main point. Don't forget main point. Solution tend to be your main point as well. So don't forget, when you are doing revision, you're rewriting, editing your writing, you should make an emphasis on that. Summing up, take a photo picture of this. A very good example. Example is in the box. This part offered shared context. For the first step of posing a problem, okay, there are some remarks on the right. For the condition part, left in the box, and then there is some comment for the condition part. And don't forget, in the comment part, we should not forget these things, these very what did I call them? The signpost words. They look like signposts, such as a stop sign, such as a U-turn sign, and so on and so forth. Here, the readers are showed what the author intends to do in the next. The upcoming part is the cost part. Okay? In the cost part, what do? You answer the imagined so-called so what question. Take a picture. And then the last part, the solution part. For a practical problem, it always demands actions to be taken. For a conceptual problem, here's another example. The example being in the box again, offering shared context. You begin introduction, you begin posing the problem like this. Share the context. Colleges are reporting that binge drinking is increasing. We know it's a practical risk. We also know that bingers ignore those risks even after they learn something about them. Share the context. And then the next step, the condition of the problem. Okay, you're posing problem itself, but don't forget, start this with the word but. However, okay? In our case, in the box, but we don't know what causes bingers to ignore the no risk. Next, up comes the cost part. And good, taken. Right. In the end, it's the solution part. These two examples are very good examples. My suggestion is take them home and read them 3 times each.